Welcome to Voice Bootcamp, a global name in unified communication. Hello, my name is Faisal Khan, Cisco Voice Instructor at Voice Bootcamp. In this particular chapter, I'm going to focus on the overview of Cisco Unified CVP. Now, CVP stands for Customer Voice Portal, a contact center application from Cisco system. Now, Cisco back in the year 2000 had a project named Yo-Yo, which was basically designed to focus on creating a multimedia interactive voice response solution using web-based technologies. Now, obviously, for many years, company has been using a legacy-based IVR solution from their service provider, which is based on TDM technologies. Now, this front-end IVR handles the calls off to legacy ACD or automatic call distribution for call treatment and routing. Now, Cisco, which created the CVP solution, which is based on IP-based solution. It is scalable, it's robust and reliable, and it has many different characteristics. For example, the whole IP-based IVR is designed to interact with the caller using industry standard protocol such as VXML, which is a kind of a parsing language for voice, such as HTML. A CVP can provide call queuing. When a contact center receives a call, it looking for an agent, and if the agents are not available, the purpose of the call company is to hold that call until an agent becomes available. To hold that call, you require to have a queue, and that queue it can be provided by the CVP. Now, while the call is in queue, CVP can provide call treatment to that call. Now, CVP can also provide call switching, so therefore if you need to transfer a call to an agent or initiate a new call, CVP can do that by using a call switching capability based on industry standard protocol, again either SIP or H.323. Now, if you're coming from a legacy-based platform, CVP can be a perfect solution to do a migration. It is based on web-based administration as well as management. Now, CVP has a great tools for real-time reporting and historical reporting as well, which combined two are the most important part of any call center. Now, CVP consists of 5 major components. There are native components and there are non-native components. The native components include the following 5. Call server. Call server, which is used to provide call control using one of the following services: ICM service, IVR service, SIP service, H.323 services. Each one of these services has different purposes, and we will explore them as we go along. Now, CVP's next component is called the reporting server. Well, what contact center is good without a reporting server? Reporting server provides a company in-depth information about how their call center is performing. So CVP has a dedicated reporting server that is designed to maintain information about the call and store that information in a database known as Informix database. Now, to manage the CVP, you use a web-based administration, which is known as Operation Console. In version 9, the Operation Console has to be installed on a separate PC or server, and it is used to basically provide web-based administration to CVP server. Now, with Operation Console, you can manage up to as many CVP servers that you have in your environment. Now, VXML server, which is another server that is designed to execute IVR application that was written in VXML document or pages. Now, VXML is basically looks like an HTML type of programming, or you can say XML type of programming, which provide some instructions of how IVR should be performed. So VXML server will execute those complex IVR applications designed by you and I. Now, Cisco Unified Call Studio is the application that will be used to create those VXML applications. So we will be using to create the VXML based application and then transfer to the VXML server, which will then execute that application. Now, additional components which are non-native components are, for example, Contact Center Enterprise, which is the smart call center major call routing device. Communication Manager, Unified Communication Manager, which is your call manager, responsible for managing agent phones and other activities. unified presence or proxy for routing calls through a proxy servers, third-party media servers, which are used for holding, let's say, prompts and as well as media files, ingress gateway for receiving calls from caller, egress gateway, which is iOS gateway, can be used to send calls to PSTN, maybe another branch offices. Voice XML gateway, which is responsible for processing the voice XML page by sending a request to the VXML server. Then additional servers you have called ASR and TTS. If your call center requires you to have, let's say, voice to text or text to voice kind of application, then you would need an ASR or TTS servers, which are from third-party companies such as Neons or IBM. Cisco ACE 4700 series and 11000 series can be used for load balancing and distribution, and unified border element can be used for providing intelligent decision of how to route the calls. So a traditional IVR, which is limited by proprietary technology because it's bound by the traditional PVX and ACD type of solutions, typically site dependent using an IVR. A traditional IVR usually implemented in a centralized fashion, both from the call termination to the equipment placement. Because these farms are centralized, no capability exists to treat a call at an edge or originating point of view. Now that means that the call source at the coast or border location had to be taken back by the carrier and transferred back, and transfer fees for the carrier could apply. Now they would obviously continue to plug legacy IVR solutions in the company, because there are many companies who still use PBX based solution. TDM IVR relies on the voice carrier to take a call back and terminate at another site. Now that can be expensive, as the per call charges. TDM IVR will lose control to the IVX when the PBX when the call is handed over to PBX. Call might lose continuity for reporting purpose. So once the call is handed over to service provider, back to service provider, your reporting tool may not have control of that call for reporting purposes. And because of the TDM is a proprietary, it has a limited scalability and limited or no support if you have a TDM and IP network conversion. So why use Cisco CVP? Well, first of all, it is designed based on open architecture, web-based. We're all familiar with that. Voice XML, which is a standard for IVR-based application to be parsed based on XML technologies. And it is a converged IP network infrastructure, so it runs on pure IP. So we have been always for the last 10-15 years have been using IP as our core communication tools in our data site. So obviously CVP is 100% based on this type of solution, so it makes it easy, better solution than the older TDM platform. Now it permits IVR treatment at the edge of the network, which will save the transport cost and bandwidth uses at a central location. So the call treatment can be handled right at the branch office, and then use IP to communicate with the head office. So therefore, you're saving a lot of bandwidth as well as cost. Now it requires fewer server, because you can run VXML service on the same gateway as well. So therefore, sometime in many cases, VXML server may not be required. Now, of course, depending on which version, this may not be true, because in version 9 you may need a separate server for other purposes. It provides light integration with Cisco network infrastructure. It can support SIP features and header passing, provide toll avoidance using VoIP calls. So if you need to call between an agent and a client, chances are that you can have the CVP route the call to the agent using the IP network, so therefore saving long distance calls or any sort of toll costs you might have. Now it provides centralized call control and reporting via ICM Enterprise, and has a scalable architecture that can grow any business needs. It also works with legacy platform by doing an integration with a Nortel or a PVX type of solutions. So it basically can provide a migration path from a legacy to VoIP. Now CVP 9 is purely based on SIP trunking as recommended by Cisco, although H323 is still supported, but that is only for backward compatibility. So what is a VXML? Well, VXML is basically a markup language used to develop IVR services, such as your call center application. When you call in, says, "Welcome to Voice Bootcamp, press 1 for sales, 2 for support." That whole process of asking the user and collecting digits is what IVR services does, of course, aside from other advanced tasks. It is designed for creating audio dialogue, such with using that feature synthesized speech, digitized audio, recognition of speech or DTMF. This is where you press 1, 2, for example, for an action, and the recording of spoken input. VXML promotes service portability across platform, implementation of platform, because it's based on IP. VXML will shield application authors from a low level and platform specific IVR and call control details. VXML programs are executed by VXML browser, which is usually run on iOS gateway. Cisco iOS VXML gateway can provide VXML browser functionality. Of course, you have to have the proper iOS feature set. Here's a typical call processing using VXML. When a new call arrives, the VXML gateway, which is your ingress gateway, will match the call to an available VXML gateway port. Now, typically that happens to be the same router as your gateway. When a new call arrives, the VXML gateway, which is known as VRU, Voice Response Unit, will send an HTTP request to the VXML server. Now, that request happens over IP network, so therefore you're not wasting any not spending any money on calls. The VXML server will send a request, dynamically generate a VXML document, and send it back to the VXML gateway. The VXML document typically provides prompt the user for input, such as enter press 1 for sales, press 2 for support. The result of the input are then included in the new HTTP request that is redirected the caller to another URL on VXML document. Numerous VXML documents might be used to render a particular services. Because of the complexity, a graphical scripting tool will be often used to develop such applications, such as Universal Studio. Cisco VXML Server is capable of executing a script that was developed by Cisco Unified Call Studio. Now, Call Studio is basically a compiler or an application designed to write a call flow and an application which will be executed by VXML Server. So these are the process of VXML. Now, VXML is a vital part of CVP because that is where the prompt and IVR services are handled. So this is the overview of Cisco Unified Voice Portal.